Well, unfortunately, Coach Lester joins us with a quarterback injured, as been too often the case here this year, Tim, as Eric Dungey a little banged up after last week's game. How do you deal with it during the week this week when he took a shot as he did late in the game?
Yeah, you keep preparing, and keep teaching, really, and Zach's getting more reps, and he's excited about the opportunity if it comes to that. But the teaching part with true freshmen that's out there and in a game like that where there's a lot of pressure on him, we couldn't run the ball well, and it put a lot of pressure on him to have to lead us with his arm, really. Someday he'll be able to do that, but we're behind the eight ball, behind the chains most of the day, and it made it tough. And Coach Grantham brought everything that you could at him, and he didn't play great, and he knows it, and he was frustrated, and he did a little bit too much on the one. He kept trying to break tackles instead of just sliding, and he got dinged, and he'll learn, and he's excited to move forward.
What's the balance? I mean, hey, in football, people get hurt.
Yeah.
Trying to get Eric out there and learning and getting better for the future versus keeping him safe here going forward.
Well, the only way to learn is to be out there. I mean, there's no replacement to experience, none. And I always compare it to Nassib, because I thought he was a phenomenal quarterback. I love watching him. I love watching him as a sophomore. Struggled a little bit as a junior. He got better. Even going into senior year, people were like, we shouldn't have him. And then he had a phenomenal year. He's playing great in the NFL, So it just takes time, and he needs to get out there, and he needs to learn how to protect himself. And the great thing is he slid early in the game. Like when he was not so frustrated with how poor he was playing, he slid and protected himself. It was just at the end, last play, trying to do too much because he was just angry at himself, because he's hard on himself, and just trying to make a play. He already had the first down, So these are things he has to learn, and there's no better way to learn than to get your bell rung by a defensive end that ran 20 yards to hit you, So he's gonna keep learning his lessons the hard way, and then he'll mature. It's not an overnight process by any means. If we could run the ball, it can look a lot better with the numbers and stuff. But when he can't, it's really hard. For a young kid to be counted on to be like a Tom Brady and throw it 50 times and win a game.
Okay, so if Eric can't go this week, it would be a Zac Mahoney again, who has an odd amount of experience for a walk-on against top 10 teams. How does that LSU experience potentially help him against Clemson, who's probably coming in number one?
Yeah, I mean, what are the chances your first two starts possibly are against the number 2 team in the country and the number 1 team in the country? So he's definitely excited about it. The first half of the LSU game, he was a little rattled, then he calmed down and went to work, and actually had a pretty good second half. So, that's his biggest thing. He's excited. He's one of those guys that prepares as if he's a starter every week, and so he won't prepare any differently now. He might get a little bit more reps, which he did today. And so, he's excited about the opportunity if it comes to him. And I think definitely having gone through that LSU experience, hopefully he'll just get the jitters out faster and let him calm down and start playing.
And you look at Clemson, and they're like LSU, like Louisville, like the teams you're seeing the rest of the way. It's another one of these top 20 ranked defenses. They're top 10. What stands out? I mean, they lost a ton to the NFL and replaced them with guys they're going to lose to the NFL at some point. I mean, what stands out about this year's version?
That's the most impressive thing, is that they lost. There's 7 guys on their defense that are on an NFL roster right now, and they're still I think they're 5 or top 10 defense in the country again. So, a couple guys are back. Their safety. Curse is a special player, and number 2, the corner is unbelievable, and they play so hard. Coach Venables does a great job because they have good schemes. They're multiple with their fronts, and a lot of times with teams that are multiple, they don't play as hard because they're never 100% sure what they're doing. Whereas this team is multiple, and once the ball's snapped, I mean, they're playing with their hair on fire, and that's the thing. They run to the ball. They can all run, and they do enough that you can't really pigeonhole in what they're doing. If they see you checking, they're going to change, So they're one of those teams that has great athletes, a great scheme. And most importantly, they play hard, and that's, I think, the biggest difference. You could sometimes on other teams you can find the backside that doesn't really run, so you can create a crease and cut it back. And this team, everybody's running, so the holes are few and far between.
All right, last thing, if it is Zach and not Eric this week, what, if anything, changes in your approach just due to the different styles of those two players?
It's not a ton. They both have a similar set. Whereas I know that Zach's gonna go through progression a little bit more and throw the ball away a little bit more. Whereas Eric's gonna try to make something happen with his feet. They both do the same. I mean, you treat them both the same as far as trying to establish a run game and try to make it easier on them. So the game plan won't change. How I call it might change a little bit because I know what Zach likes. A couple different route combinations he has a good feel for, which we called late in the game, and anytime he's in there. So you maybe put a little bit more of that in. But, the plan as far as trying to establish a run, get him into man, take some opportunities to take some shots, is still the same.
All right, Tim, good luck this week.
I appreciate it.